Welcome back, Sierra Nova here, and we're going to get into Justice League War. I wouldn't consider this a review per se, but I will be discussing things I like throughout the film, so I guess it's not too much of a stretch. With that aside, what do you say we go ahead and get started? So basically, if anyone's unfamiliar with this, Justice League War is an animated film that came out in 2014, and it's an adaptation of the Justice League origins. In this film, we see the members of the Justice League meet and come together for the first time to defeat Darkseid, and it's pretty entertaining, especially the whole bit between Green Lantern and Batman.
Wait, you're not just some guy in a bat costume, are you?
As Batman points out sometime during the film, he and Green Lantern are the most normal ones of the group, yet Green Lantern hilariously seems to think otherwise. Not only did I love seeing their dynamic and their banter, I also enjoyed seeing Green Lantern's abilities. I always loved seeing his abilities because I found them pretty creative and unique, seeing as he can literally create what comes to mind. He kinda reminds me of Momo from MHA. Now for anyone unfamiliar with MHA, it's basically an anime called My Hero Academia, and it's actually not too far off in topic, seeing as it literally deals with superheroes as well. However, by some form of sad twisted fate, the anime follows the MC Deku, who was born without superpowers, yet he really wants to become a hero. There's all types of quirks and abilities within this world, and Momo's quirk is called creation. It gives her the ability to create any non-living material from her exposed skin. This basically happens by her actually transforming the molecular structure of her fat cells, so she needs to understand the molecular structure of whatever the object is made of. Now as far as Green Lantern, he uses a ring to channel his abilities, and I don't think we've seen the full capacity of his abilities, so not quite the same, but it definitely grants flight and there's always a green light. Now in Green Lantern's case, he's summoning green objects that can be controlled telekinetically. In a nutshell, I like both of these characters and I can't help but think of one when I think of the other. Anyway, let's get back to the film. Now another thing I actually enjoyed about the film was the whole exchange with Wonder Woman, and I love how awkward and innocent she's portrayed here. Like you can tell by her dialect and the way that she talks that she is still new to the things of the world, such as dealing with people and the smallest of things such as how ice cream tastes.
Ice cream is wonderful!
Told you so.
Personally, I think it really captured the initial stages of her transition really well while clearly displaying that she's an Amazon warrior and not from around the area. On another note, I got to say I didn't really enjoy the exchange with Victor Stone and his dad. This will probably be the only negative exchange I talk about. Anyway, it made me a bit sad and angry. We see that Victor Stone wants nothing more than his father's support, and his father doesn't seem interested. Not even interested enough to show up at Victor's football game, which is pretty ridiculous if you ask me. I get that it might not be something that Silas wants to do, but sometimes you have to make sacrifices for the ones that you love. That's why it's called a sacrifice, because 9 times out of 10 you don't want to do it, but you do it because you know it's harmless and you know that it's really important to the other person. Instead, Victor's father seems more interested in his work and experiments at Star Labs. To make matters worse, not only did Silas not show up to his son's football game, but he basically told Victor that football meant nothing in a world where they had superheroes and people had powers. Now what kind of thing is that to say to your son? So then right after that, in Victor's frustration, we see him grab a random box-like device that's floating and it explodes, and I guess it fuses with him. The damage to his body was pretty immense, and we see that his dad goes into immediate action to try and save his son's life through the technology acquired at Star Labs. Now at first it didn't seem as if it was working, but after some immense pain and some injections here and there, Cyborg was born. Sadly, I think this was the most attention Silas paid to him. Anyway, outside of that one interaction I didn't really enjoy like that, I did enjoy the interaction with Shazam and Victor. I feel like Victor really needed to hear that from Shazam because it was clear he was going through a range of emotions. I mean, Victor was just at his own football game like an hour ago as a normal adult male, yet now he was a cyborg. And it wasn't as if his dad was helping him navigate through it all. His dad was just happy that he was alive, which is great and fine, and I get that, but he wasn't necessarily helping Victor deal or cope with the situation. And while we're kinda on the topic of Shazam and Victor, I have to be honest that it didn't quite click for me that Billy was Shazam. Like, I thought it was just some random kid snooping around because they didn't necessarily say his name. I just thought he was a super fan of sorts. After all, you don't just throw on anyone's sweaty football jersey and not be a fan. Anyhow, as soon as it was revealed to us that he was an orphan and was living with other orphans, it finally clicked. In this film, he didn't seem to need the other kids in order to transform, so I'm guessing that they can all individually transform still. But I could still be wrong, seeing as the film itself didn't go too far into detail, and it's not like we saw the other kids head to the battlefield as well. Anyway, the next thing I'd like to add, which kinda piggybacks off the interaction between Green Lantern and Batman, has to do with the Flash. I've always found him interesting not only because of his background, but also because of how he got his powers and what he did for a living. Now maybe it's because I've always kind of been into science, but the Flash kind of holds a more special place in my heart compared to all the other DC characters. Not to mention it was pretty funny seeing him fangirl over Batman in front of Green Lantern.
Wait, what? It is a real honor to meet you, sir. Batman. Sir Batman, sir.
Don't bother, the guy's a total tool.
I followed your efforts in Central City, Flash. You do tight, efficient work.
Green Lantern and Superman were the only ones kind of giving Batman a hard time at first. We saw that during the scuffle Superman had with the both of them, where he easily overwhelmed them. I'd like to say that Batman put up a decent fight at least, despite not having much prep time. Now this Superman seemed a bit different obviously, which is to be expected. He and Batman aren't the best of buds just yet, at least not exactly from the jump. No one is, but I'd like to say that they seem to respect each other at least. Even if some of them weren't necessarily on board with being a team just yet, it was still pretty cool seeing them unite and fight Darkseid together. They were at least able to work through their differences and protect the world. I'd give this film a 10 out of 10. Like, I really enjoyed the film and it's something I would probably watch again. It did a good job portraying everyone and a really good job giving us little bits of information, rather through the characters' actions like Wonder Woman not being accustomed to things just yet, or through the characters themselves. For example, when Batman took Green Lantern's ring, earlier on in the film, we saw that he was in his pilot uniform underneath. Another example to when they showed Barry Allen in the police station and he was bringing back burritos for everyone. Little things like that gave us the information in a subliminal way. Anyway, that's all I have about the Justice League War film. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know if you had any likes or dislikes or if you even watched it in the first place and what you think about it. Thank you for tuning in. Sierra Nova is out.